My next guest is the Executive Vice President at the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so in the top of the hour, we went over this insane proposal to raise the capital gains tax to 44.6% because as his budget document, which I assume was drawn up by Shalonda Young, claims that more white people have investments. So in order to bring tax equity, we're going to raise the capital gains tax to 44.6%, leaving out the obvious soft bigotry like non-white people don't hold assets. But let's talk about the percentage of people who actually pay taxes. Biden is always saying the rich should pay their fair share, while he's telling us at the same time some people's share is no share.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. When you actually look at the numbers, it's pretty clear that the wealthy are paying a lot in taxes. They're paying the vast majority of taxes. If you look at just the top 5% of earners, they pay about 65% of the total tax burden. So almost 2/3 of the tax burden by the top 5%. The bottom 50%, so half of people who pay income taxes pay less than 3% of all income taxes. We have an extremely progressive tax code, one of the most progressive tax codes in the entire world. But in the minds of some progressives, they can never pay enough. The rich can never pay enough. And they just want to keep raising their taxes until, guess what? They leave this country and they go elsewhere to more hospitable tax climates.
Is there a sort of guilt factor or self-hating or imposter syndrome? I don't understand why some very rich Democrats, billionaire Democrats, support this, or have they gotten assurances that there'll be loopholes and they really won't pay these taxes?
I think it's just an ideological drive. They just think that the system is unfair and they have to fix it. And the way they fix it is they go back to the old school playbook to raise taxes on the rich. It's just the only tool that they have in the toolbox, unfortunately. And guess what? You talk about raising taxes on the rich, you talk about raising taxes on corporations, which is all they like to talk about. We had this problem before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the Trump tax cuts in 2017, with corporations moving overseas. They were moving to Ireland. They were moving to Europe, to Asia, anywhere they could go to find a lower tax rate, to find a system that actually worked for them so they could grow, expand, create jobs, innovate, do things like that. After the Trump tax cuts, we didn't see these corporate inversions taking place. People said, hey, this is actually a pretty business-friendly country. Let's stay here. Let's create jobs. Let's innovate new products. And Biden, for some reason, wants to go back to the bad old days, and it just doesn't make any sense.
I've always offered this to left-wing rich Democrats. I'll see your Bill Clinton tax rate of 39.5% for incomes over $2 million, compounded 1% per million going up if you give us a flat tax below $2 million. And see how these super rich people in Silicon Valley, in Hollywood, over my shoulder in Wall Street react.
Yeah, let's bring it on. Let's have that conversation for sure. I mean, a flat tax would be incredibly beneficial to workers across the income ladder, I think. And in addition to that, it would create a lot of economic growth. We see so many taxpayers that pay taxes on the individual schedule are actually business owners. And that would give a big tax break to small business owners that are really struggling to get by, struggling to compete with larger businesses. But also, when you look at so many of these businesses, retail businesses are facing crime issues. There's still lingering effects of COVID that are hurting them. Labor costs are extraordinarily high, food costs, you name it. Small businesses are taking it on the chin. So if you create a system like that, I think that'd be really, really helpful for Main Street.
And the other thing is you can't ignore the open border. They want to give these people citizenship. They keep saying they're going to add to the economy, but we've already fallen in love with the earned income tax credit. We've created a portion of the population that benefits from its relationship. You add 20 million people to that who require federal spending on their behalf, but contribute absolutely nothing when you account for the earned income tax credit and all these housing credits they're talking about. We're going to get a bomb of spending, but we aren't going to be able to make it up unless we raise taxes on those people that make less than $400,000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no immigration expert, but obviously our system is a complete and total mess. And that places a strain on our entire economy. It places a strain on the federal government. As you said, you have more people that are receiving benefits like the Earned Income Tax Credit, other benefits, TANF, food stamps, and so forth, than are paying into the system. We already have a debt, the debt that exceeds $34 trillion. And we really need to find ways to close the deficit, start paying off that debt. Otherwise, we're going to jeopardize economic growth for generations to come.
Well, the Democrats have convinced themselves that they can spend prosperity. They can't. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure as always.